I want to do something I've never done before. I want to read Leviticus in Greek. This will be fun. Would I be correct in saying the reason you've never done it before is... You can't read Greek, can you? I'm just going to read it in English. I'm going to read an English version of the Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Old Testament. This is the law of the sacrifice. Hang on, it's the law of the grain offering, isn't it? Well, yeah, it is, but the Greek just uses the generic word for sacrifice. Grain as a sacrifice, even though nothing has died? Yeah, why? My English dictionary says sacrifice is slaughtering an animal. Were the ancient Greeks wrong thinking grain was a sacrifice? No, we're wrong if we're defining biblical sacrifice from a modern English dictionary. What does the Bible mean when it uses the word sacrifice? Okay, the Passover is a sacrifice. The Passover is lamb and unleavened bread. That same Greek word, sacrifice, is what Cain offered to God. Cain brought fruits and vegetables. In Leviticus, sacrifices are things that humans eat. And multiple times, sacrifices are described as a pleasant aroma to God. Well, so far, sacrifice sounds like food. You're right, a sacrifice is a gift, usually food, that's placed on an altar and sent upwards to God in smoke. Doesn't sacrifice ever mean slaughter? Yep. So if a lamb is being offered, the Greek word sacrifice implies the whole process, the slaughter, the altar, and the sending up in smoke. But flour and fruit don't die. Right, but they're still a sacrifice. They're food placed on an altar and sent upwards to God in smoke. And actually, the word sacrifice in its ancient form meant smoke or incense. So what does Peter mean when he says that we are priests who offer sacrifices? Are we sending up in smoke a handful of grain to God? We are priests. And in Philippians, Paul talks about the church giving him charitable gifts. And he says they were a sacrifice, a pleasant aroma, pleasing to God. Gifts of charity are a sacrifice and a pleasant aroma. And Jesus offered himself upwards for us, don't tell me, a sacrifice. Yep, a sacrifice to God and a pleasant aroma. Right, and Hebrews says we should offer a sacrifice of praise to God. A pleasing aroma? Close. Paul says the fruit of lips. Like fruits and vegetables. Do you think Paul had a grain offering on his brain? I think so. And then in Romans, Paul says we are to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Now this makes a lot more sense. A living sacrifice doesn't have to be an oxymoron if a sacrifice doesn't have to be dead. Yep, our actions as the living body of Christ reach God as a pleasing aroma. Got a question? Well, I want you to be in my video. All you need to do is record yourself asking a question, and you can be. I'll put a link in the description that tells you how.
We're all aware of Julian's extraordinary power. What is it? Shh, shh.
Whoa! Did you see that?